So we've sort of led into our fourth point, and I think this is a really big and important one too, and it's to connect yourself to the world. And I think people not connecting their characters to the world is what leads to murder hobos.
Okay, this is a good point, because it touches so many things about bad characters and being a bad player in general.
Now, the problem with connecting yourself to the world quite often is if you're playing a pre-written adventure, if I write a backstory about my family, and I'm playing in a pre-written adventure, I may never go to where my family is. They may never show up. They're not going to be relevant. And if you're dungeon crawling, you're never going to meet your family at the bottom of the dungeon. Well, you better hope you don't.
I am a dragonborn. Mother!
What are you doing here, mother? But you should have a character who is connected to the world. As humans, we set out to make connections. And I think it's not coincidental that the people who act like murder hobos in the real world are the ones who don't have meaningful connections to other people in their lives.
Okay.
And I think it's just the same for role-playing characters. I think it's so much easier to decide to murder NPCs randomly if you don't view the world that you're in as real or important or having meaning. And the way you do that is by having connections to people.
Wow, that actually weirdly is so relevant to what's happening in the world right now with Black Lives Matter and everything.
Isn't it just?
Yeah.
Now, I've said already that I think that it's very unlikely that your family will ever show up. But it can influence your role-playing.
Yeah.
Just to think about, who is your family? What's your character's connection to your family? If your character has been estranged from their family, or their family is dead, and family being dead is such an easy dramatic trope to go for. There's a reason why everybody has their character be dead. Have their character's parents be dead, not their character themselves. That would be a twist. Spoilers, I've been dead the whole time.
I mean, Planescape Torment.
True.
Yeah.
Never stopped him.
Yeah.
But I think even for those sorts of characters, they will often be interested in establishing new families for themselves, have these connections. And in a role-playing game, I think it's more useful, rather than creating your bonds at the beginning of the game, rather than saying who your important characters are, make friendships with the characters that you meet over the course of the adventure. Make emotional connections to the characters that you encounter.
I would argue that you could even, in the character creation section, you could, if that you are indeed doing a character creation section, this isn't always an option if you're doing like a store game and you just walk up to a table, or convention game. But if you're having a character creation bit with a GM, say to them, like, can you see somewhere where my character, who is a rogue, might have a connection in your campaign? Can you see where my wizard might have got their skills, for example? Yeah, it'll help tie you into their
This is
world.
why I think it's always really useful to have a session zero. When you're starting a campaign, start off, establish what the game is that you're going to be doing, work with the GM and the other players to create your characters, to create the connections between them, to create their connections to the world.
Session zero gets me so hyped for
I love
campaign.
Session Zero so much.
Yeah.
But even if you're just walking up to a store game, let's say you are playing, well, let's use our favourite adventure, Curse of Strahd, for an example. Let's say you're playing Curse of Strahd, and you go to the village of Barovia right at the beginning, and you meet Ismark and Irina. Have your character make an emotional connection to those characters. Make your character care about what happens to Irina and Ismark.
That was a very strong through line when we played our playthrough of Curse of Strahd. Ismark just immediately died after the first sort of dungeon. I won't say what it is because spoilers.
But because you had that strong emotional connection to him, a major goal for the rest of the campaign was saving Ismark's soul.
Yeah.
And in fact, you were able, by an amazing set of events and coincidences and sacrifices and battles, to bring him back from the dead right at the end of the campaign, just before the final battle.
And it also meant that I had this really strong sense of duty that I then had to go and find Irina. It wasn't just like, oh, some guy told me to go help his sister. It was this guy that is now dead. My friend. I am the only one who can help his sister now because he is dead. if I don't do anything, nothing's going to happen to save her.
It meant that you were so much more invested